it goes to like, I was listening to your other podcast. Actually, I listened to every one of your podcasts.
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate you though.
The other guy was actually really good podcast. Like what's his name? The last guy you just did.
Brian.
Yeah. Man, it's good stuff. Like all those things, they resonate with, like, when you talk about, like, we know Kevin. So it's like, they go hand in hand. Like, you gotta, the cliche things, like, you gotta limit access to yourself,
bro.
And
then he turned around and put his cell phone out there in the world. I was like, all right, that's you.
yeah. I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna get I mean, even if like the podcast stays on there for like the next 5 years.
Exactly. Oh, good. I really appreciate you doing this, because I know how super busy you are, and I see you're moving, like, definitely not no small time entrepreneur, even if you were, but like, everybody's time is valuable. But it really means so much to me that you was like, yo, whatever you need, I got you. And that shit is solid. And I just want, like, definitely you come on here, talk your shit, and just, I mean, and I'm really excited about this one, because you can talk about so many different pockets, and I really want to get into that. And just like, I mean, like, you've already seen it, but just kind of like what I tell everybody beforehand, like, this isn't no CNN. I'm not no journalist. This is just something like I created just because I'm having these conversations all the time. I was like, shit, might as well put it out there. I don't really know why the arrogance in me would think the world needs another podcast, but I mean, here we are recording this. So,
no, but I mean, it's sometimes you got to have those real conversations that, like, there's a lot of gurus, there's a lot of fluff, I think the world is saturated with entrepreneurs per se.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, so who's really in the room making money? Like, and it's not necessarily, you can't equate success to revenue. Like, you can equate it like, okay, this guy's, high level guy, but there's like high level guys that are not making a bunch of money, but they are successful in what they're doing, but they're not portraying anything. Like, this is, hey, like, if you make 100 grand, cool. You make 200 grand, cool. You make $1 million, cool. That's all, that is part of your success, but they don't fake it. Like, I'm
right.
And you're just trying to send the course,
right?
That you ain't even mastered,
right? Yeah, I really just appreciate the authenticity. When everyone's, when I'm talking to someone and really giving game, and it's like you're saying, like, if you're not at a certain point of where you want to be, like, be honest about that, and like, again, I'm going the exact opposite direction of where everyone's putting shit out there and trying to create a course. Like, I don't want to create a course. I don't want to sell people anything. It's just like, so
then you're responsible. Like, hey, you put a course out there, I didn't sell one house, like, oh, now.
My goodness. Yeah. There's a lot of those. I'm like, damn, they're not really moving like that. A lot of smoke and mirrors, for real. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But nah, bro, let me go ahead and I'll get this thing kicked off, and then we can, like, get into the shits. I'll just go ahead and start now. Welcome to Masterminds with James Allen. He is I, and I am him. And today we got the man. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this guy on here. Josh Perez. Let me go ahead and get the proper introduction. I'm excited, y'all. This guy here is third generation Houstonian, the city's champ, so to speak. Man, this guy is his background is awesome. Serial entrepreneur, your favorite entrepreneur's favorite entrepreneur. Talk about it. You know what I'm saying? He's the founder of Texan Mosquito Systems. And what's really cool is Josh founded the company in 2012. And man, to where they are now is really impressive. And it's really a motivating story. And so I definitely want to get into that. Texan Mosquitoes is the largest independently owned company in this industry. They service Houston, DFW, Austin, and all surrounding areas of those cities. And man, a little flex right here, flex time. Number 2 in the nation. I didn't say state, the nation, in new sales. They get into it. And then also too, man, don't put them in a box there. I mean, Josh is getting to multiple different things. Like we said, serial entrepreneur, talking about to real estate, different investments, car connoisseur. You know, I'm seeing them in that shit. So I mean, I'm excited. I'm motivated for motivational purposes only. And you know, bigger than that, man. Ever since I met this guy, genuine, solid, very authentic. Anytime we have a conversation, you know, most importantly, a husband, a man of faith, a family guy, a father. So, you know, without further, you know, ado, I would just like to introduce the one, the only Josh Perez. What's up, family? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Intro, man. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it. No, man. And everything I said is, you know, real about, you know, my perspective on you. Because like I said, we were both introduced through a mutual friend. Shout out Kevin Shelton, my guy.
It's everybody's guy.
Yeah, everybody's guy, for real. And man, I remember we were on a golf tournament, and he was telling me, he was like, yo, you know, I want you to meet my guy Josh. He's like, he's really him. And yeah, man. And we just had those conversations on the golf course, and I guess I was so nice, y'all ain't even called me back since that golf tournament. Or maybe I wasn't so nice. So
I haven't played with him either since then.
Yeah, real. But no, man, like I said, I really enjoyed our conversations and just kind of keeping up with each other. Since then, everybody's kind of moving and shaking. But you know, we're, you know, wherever we can, we kind of reach out to each other and just, hey, I see what's going on. Congrats on that. And it's always been love. So nah, man, I'm excited to have you here, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Matter of fact, you know that old wait, when was this? When did we meet on the golf course?
About like almost a year ago.
A year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close to a year ago. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know, they always saying, you know, deals are made on the golf course. So I didn't notice at the time, but like my salesman was with us, Darren.
Shout out, right? Darren.
Yeah. Yep. So he ended up using your wife to buy a house. Like
absolutely.
She was the realtor, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was all connected. He was like, hey, you know, he was saying something about, you know.
Yeah, he was like, we're looking.
Yeah. I was like,
so
blink.
Hey, I saw the little hook came out. You're like, oh, hey, I can put this down.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, Darren just you know, him and his lady, they just copped something. So yeah, congrats to them.
They got a tight little house. It's like a man, you know, we didn't get into it, but you know, I do have a couple of Airbnbs, and I was like, yeah, AD, if you ever want to sell that joint, that'd be a dope Airbnb, bro. Stop it.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, shit. We ain't get no housewarming given, man. Darren, if you watching this, what's up, man? It's been kind of, you know, a little quiet over there. Yeah. But now, before we go any further, I just want to also state that today's episode is brought to you by Southern House Buyers in Houston, Texas. We buy houses in any condition. So if you're looking to sell a property and you want a hassle-free, no obligation offer within 24 hours, please call 281-749-1680. So, man, where do we start, bro? I mean, I know where I want to start. And
go ahead, man.
Shoot. All right, bro. Because I want everybody to hear it. I mean, you and I, like I said, when you and I were rapping, I was just like, man, Josh, how did you get into that niche pest control industry? And it was dope, man. And I guess if you can, I don't want to have you on the spot for too long, but yeah, if you could just, you know, like quickly tell us, man, like, how did you get into that to that industry? Because, you know, I see a lot of people, different pockets in different industries, and a lot of people get things that are, you know, in their face, and pest control is not one that you're looking at. Yeah, it's not really in your face.
Yeah, it's not it's not glamorous or glorious at all. You don't see people on IG talking about, you know, I'm a pest control, blah 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 blah.
I see you
buy my course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't sell a course.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but so essentially the entrepreneur mindset and the like, I can think of a few people that I know from childhood on. Like, we've always been the same way. Like, I'm gonna go figure out how to earn money regardless. Like, just bottom line. And I go all the way back to like being 7 and 8 years old. Like, I was the kid that's asked my mom and dad, yo, how much money is your bank account? You know, like, how much is the rent? How much is the light bill? How much is the water bill? And in my head, I'm putting things together. So as a young kid, I think my first job was like at 13 or 14. I started working with somebody, again, you know, we're in Texas, we're in manual labor in business. So, I think I started painting houses young. Like yes, I was young, I'm the guy taping, but I remember this to this day. I looked at the bill that the guy who I worked for was giving the homeowner, and we were Memorial. And I didn't know at that time, I'm 13. I don't know what Memorial is.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Memorial area in Houston. Like, so if you're not from Houston, it's, it's the fluent area. It's the old money area. And I remember seeing the bill was like 40 grand, 39.9 or something. And I was like, holy smokes. It's like, in my world, that's a whole year's salary.
Right.
Like, not even in my world. That's like what my parents were making, at that time.
Right.
When I was 13 years old. And I was like, God, dog, like, how are these people buying paying to paint their house? Just like paint it, So from that point forward, I was like, there's got to be a better way. And fast forward, I started working UPS. So I wasn't a college student. I never even had the dream of going to college. And at the same time, my parents weren't from that realm where they're like, hey, send my son to school. It was like, go to work, like earn money so he can start contributing to the household.
Yeah.
So I worked at UPS, and I learned the skill that I didn't know that I possessed. And it was like routes, like how to get so much done. So UPS, like, it's almost like the military, like they burn stuff in your brain, like how to get stuff done as much as you can, as fast as you can. And that's just how they work. Like, you see the UPS truck, like, choom, 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 choom.
Yeah.
They're blowing and going. And so there's somebody who plans that, right? It's somebody who makes that happen. So
right.
I got fired almost for running my route too fast. And I was done
too
for the day.
Fast?
Too fast. Like I ran it too fast. I was 2:00. I'm sitting downstairs in the lobby of this building waiting for 5:00 because I had nothing else to do. And so the big manager is like, you got to teach us how you did that. So I say all that to say that I got into the business of in the pest control realm because I knew how to route people. And a friend of mine who worked at a company that does what I do, randomly was telling me, like, man, I was in Kingwood today and I was in Seabrook the next day. I went back to Kingwood again. I was like, whoa. I was like, just give me your route. I'm gonna route it for you, bro. I was like, I got you. And then the owner of that company's like, hey, why don't you come work for me? Because I got him from working from like 6-7 stops a day to doing like 16 stops a day. And stops mean money. So you double your revenue for your every driver. The revenue company goes up.
Right.
So, but as an entrepreneur, like I when I was working for somebody else, I was trying a bunch of things. Like I was trying this and trying that and just literally just trying a bunch of things. But little did I know at that point, all those failures were actually teaching moments. Yep. So when I started my company. One day I was just like, man, I'm gonna start my own company. Like I'm gonna stick with what I know, which is what I've been in the industry doing forever. And I'm just gonna start my own company. Forget trying to start a new idea, a new venture, I'm gonna just stick with what I know, and start my own company. And I did that. And the funny thing was, I actually was scared to do it, and I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it. So I actually went to my old boss, and I had 2 letters in my back pocket, and one of them was a letter of I forgot my attorney drew up a letter of
resignation.
Resignation was one. The other one was like a introduction letter, like I forget what he called it, but basically I came to him with an idea to expand his current business. I was like, I can make you the biggest in Texas. And his exact words to me were like, you're never going to be able to run a company. You're incapable of running a business. And little did he know that I was already making like probably like $150 on the side, because I had to put my idea to the test.
Yeah.
And once that test was working, I was like, oh man, I made an extra $150,000 this year, just putting my idea to like soft openings, like, let me see if this works. And it started working. So I was like, man, in my head, I was like, I don't even need this job no more. So anyway, he said no. I started my own business. And I was like, I'm finna be on your ass now. But so anyway, long story short, all these years later, you go through bumps, you learn stuff, all the failures that happened are what I remember that. Like, I remember seeing like, okay, this is not going to work because I already did this. And then you take those little lessons that you learn and you just span them together. And it's almost like athletes, like pro athletes, they say the same thing. Like when they win championships, it's not like you just won a championship the first year you came into the league. It's, you typically win a championship if you've been in the league for a while. Right. And you start spanning together little wins. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, this is how I get to the championship.
Yo, and so two questions for you. The first one is, did that manager who turned you down, did he ever like reach out to you later? It's like, yo, man, I see you out here. You ever want to do lunch? Want to get, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
No, it's too much pride.
too much
It's too much
pride.
pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the
Yeah.
owner of the company. It's just too much pride.
Yeah.
And like so for the first couple of years, like yeah, they were beating us in numbers for the year, but then I was like, no, not no more. So like now we're the biggest. We're selling more systems every year than everybody else is, especially in Texas. There's only one other company doing more, and they're in Florida.
Man, talk about it. Yo, and just real quick too, y'all need to send Josh a DM on IG and thank him for all y'all who like to go out in Houston and frequent some of these hot spots, because he's the one out there responsible for those mosquitoes not biting y'all ass while y'all out there and
the
smoking.
flies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
flies and
y'all
the
smoking
mosquitoes.
hookah in peace. Yeah.
Smoking hookah in peace and taking y'all shots. He's that guy. So
Yeah, y'all don't
no.
see us. We're in the background making sure there's no bugs back there, but
Hey,
it's just part of what we do, man.
not
But
all
more,
heroes wear capes.
yeah, it's tons of it's tons of regular, like there's a saying, no, not saying, but like there's tons of regular backyards and regular people that we're the ones that make them have their pool parties successfully. Like I tell everybody, when the sun starts to go down and you're in the backyard with the pool, at some point you got to go inside because the bugs are just too bad.
Facts.
So not with us though. You're outside all night long.
A lot of friends that we have, like particularly with these new pools in kind of newer homes, I've seen they have the system and it just automatically turns on. And at first I was like, what the hell is that? The mist. And they're just like, yeah, it's the mosquito system. And I was like, and I started putting two together. I was like, oh yeah, that's what, Josh, that's shit. They're probably a client of yours. So
yeah,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I would say, I'd like to say, yeah, but there's a sauce to this. Like, what you talked about it earlier. Service companies are not glorious, right?
Right.
But I know plumbers that are making a couple million a year. I know electricians that are making a couple million a year, and some of these cats are in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so like service companies as a whole they're not glorious, but
right.
Those types of trades, like if I could do it all over again, I would own a air conditioning company, electrician company, and what I do. And it's just like those types of businesses will never, ever go out of business. As long as you run a legit business, as long as you run good business and know good service, they'll never go out of business.
Nah, shit, that's a gem right there. And so, I mean, why haven't you bought? I mean, because that's something you could still do, get into the electrical and AC.
I'm still refining what we do, our processes, and for the longest, like there's a big curve for people, or I would say guys who are first generation business owners, because this company will probably be, as long as I don't close the doors or sell it, then it'll be there for my son if he wants to do that. If he doesn't want to do it, great. But it'll be there. Like somebody's going to take it over if I don't get rid of it before that. So but there is a learning curve. Like there is, you don't just learn this stuff off the bat, especially when you didn't go to college. Like, so yeah, if I went to school, maybe I would have learned, school for business, I would have learned some of the, the basics that I know now. Like we got to take the hard knocks of taxes, for the first couple of years. Like, oh God, I didn't know that, you had to do that. And so you learn those things. You get a CPA in your corner that's good, a financial planner that's good. And then you learn those things. But if you knew them early, oh man, so many, it's what do you call it? Bought sense. So you pay for your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But once I get up, my process is totally refined to where I won't be able to do that until I can walk away from my business and say, let me just check in on these managers. And then, okay, so now I can start something new because I've already tried it. I opened a lawn business, a lawn care company in 2019. We made money, like it cash flowed. And I learned that lesson, and now I know not to make that same mistake again. So I actually just like dissolved it. Like, you know what? I can't focus my attention on this right now, and I don't have enough time to go hire someone that's going to, because it was like an extra 20 grand a month just coming in. But that was chump change, and it was distracting me. So that distraction is now costing me 20 grand a month. So I was like, hey, I got to get rid of this, like it's got to go. And, if I had somebody like that I could trust that was like, yo, Josh, like, I need something to do, I would have just gave it to him and then showed him like, look, this is how you're supposed to run it. I don't have the time to run it, but this is what you're supposed to do, and run off with it. But I mean, I looked under every rock I could find, and there's nobody that wanted to be, nobody that wanted to own it. So I said, it's got to go.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the those are some of the things that you learn going forward. And like I was listening to your other show with the other guy, like once you learn those things and then you start to see profits, then that's where you can start to invest and acquire properties and stuff like that. So it's all a process. None of this happens overnight.
So I mean, you are 10 years in the game, Texan Mosquito Systems, and I mean, how involved are you on the day-to-day?
Right now, I'm very involved.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm very involved, and I'm probably more involved than I want to be right now. And we were talking before, the show started. It's a curveball year. Like, I've got to be hands-on. Like, literally, it's like, what they call undercover boss coming to work. Like, I rolled up on a house in a service truck, and I haven't done that in like, man, I would say like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I rode up in a service truck because I want to see what's going out there in the field. Like, I want to know what my customers are experiencing. Like, are my guys doing their job the way they're supposed to be doing? And I know, you got to have a manager to do that. But sometimes you got to see it with your own eyes. You got to know.
Sure.
Because people get complacent. I tell everybody this in my organization. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm like, yo, y'all are spoiled. Like, y'all come to work when you want. It's like a country club around here. And it's like, yo, we got to, so this is my year whipping everybody in shape. Like, yo, it's this time this is your job description. Like, here, read it. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And, so some people are not doing it, they got to go. And this is that year. So I'm trying to get it to where I can back up and then do the fun stuff. Like, I wish I could do a podcast every day. That's the fun stuff. So I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, nah, for sure, man. Shit, I know it's on its way, bro. Kind of backing up, I want to ask you. That was the other question I wanted to ask you. You were saying on when you first started and you were working for a guy, and I don't know if that went over. Some people are going to listen to this, their heads, but like you said, when you start a business or when you're running a business, it's going to be costly. Either way you're looking at it, you're either going to pay for information or you're going to pay by mistakes. And that was like hella smart of you to be in that business and still kind of do like a soft launch. And you're really learning essentially on someone else's dime. I mean, like, well, while working with someone and not, you're mitigating some of those risks. Let me just say it that way instead of like on someone else's dime. But like, man, being able to learn and kind of poke holes in some things and refine your process while you're still with somebody is super, super important. And
so, disclosure, I don't want anybody to think that, well, he was, working for somebody, but doing his own thing. But
okay.
So what I did is I had ideas that I knew I could improve on with the current company, right? After I did all these other entrepreneurial type of things where, I did everything from like buy cars on Craigslist before, Facebook Marketplace was there. And I would run them through my little process and then sell them, like, double my money.
Yeah.
All these little things I did were teaching me lessons. But then, so what I did was, like I said, full disclosure, you got to do this ethically. Like, above all, everything's got to be ethically, because bad business is bad business. And
facts.
If you don't do those things right from the beginning, you're not going to grow.
Right.
We call, people call it karma. I call it reap what you sow. But I started my ideas in a totally different market. So I wasn't even in the Houston area. So my idea started in another market, because I never wanted somebody to say, well, I talked to this other guy, but he works for you. No, that would never be the case, because I started my ideas in a whole nother market, whole different city, hours and hours and hours away. But then when that started working, and I was like, wait a minute, so this is duplicatable, then I can say, hey, that's what I came. It's like the slave coming to his master, like, yo, I found gold over here on your land. Let's go dig it up. And the master's like, no, we're not doing that. So I was like, at that point in my life, bro, I thought that $170,000 was a lot of money. And I still think that's a lot of money. I'm not.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, it's a lot of money.
No, like I thought that was like that was like the peak that oh man, if you make 170 a year, like you are and that's still the case. You're still making money if you're doing that. So I came to him with a number that was way lower than that. But over the next 10 years, I was like, this is where I'm going to get to per year. I want to make $170,000 a year. And so like when you think about the mistakes that my old boss made, what'd that cost him? That mistake is in the millions, like in the multi-millions.
Bruh.
So it's like in the multi-millions yearly. That's that kind of mistake. And so you have to sit back, and I'd always tell myself, don't make that same mistake. Like learn from the people that do you wrong. Learn from the people that you don't want to do business like, and then do business the right way. So I brag, but I say that my first customer, my very first customer in both markets are still my customers. You're talking about 10 years, 15, 12 years ago. They're still my customers. They still pay me every single month, no matter what. And it's like, you that resonates with people. When people say, well, does this thing work? I can't imagine getting rid of mosquitoes. Well, call this lady.
Right.
She's been paying me every month for 12 years.
Check the reference.
She's not going to pay a bill for something that don't work. If your lights don't come on, you're not going to pay that bill no more.
Talk that talk. But also too, we've already kind of talked about on a macro level where, our economy is going. And so how are you approaching that? Because you're seeing it from both sides. You're seeing it from an employee perspective, a company perspective, but also your book of business and your clients. I mean, because would you say your clients look at your service as a necessity, and as things kind of get tighter, are you concerned about your book of business and your revenue taking a hit because of that? Or is it something like, that you feel very confident about because you've had clients for 10 to 12 years now? So, your retention, of your books got to be, up there. So yeah, I mean,
so
how you looking at
so
that?
by all measurable means, I can't foresee any slowdown. Not right now. Like we're smoking right now. So most of our customers are affluent. So when things go bad, or there's a soft recession or a hard recession, I always go back to what I've seen in the past. So remember, I've been in this industry, whether I working for somebody or owning a company, since about 2005 or so. 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So I want to say 05 was probably when I started full time. But so that means I've gone through the 08 crash, 07, 08, 09. I've seen that. Sometimes like we really worry when there's like some big natural disasters that affect a huge area, like when we went through Ike and all those other things. So I take the accumulation of past experiences and I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Like we do tighten our belts up. I'm a big prepper, like I went and bought like, me and my buddy buying cows so we can, if there's a food shortage, we got meat and, pause, but, but, we got food. So,
Pause that. Yeah.
So, so I do prep. I do watch the market. I'm in real estate. I have to watch the market. This is just part of the thing.
Right.
So, but for the most part, most of our customers, there's a 50-50, and it really depends on their income level. Like when their income level's high, we are a necessity because they can't go outside and enjoy their backyard without us. When the income level starts to drop a little bit, I don't have to use a pool that much, or our lifestyles change. We went from chilling to now we're back grinding, so they're not outside as much, and so then it becomes disposable as far as our service. But for the most part, it should stay unaffected, and if it does, we're ready for it.
Nice. Okay. No, that makes sense. I guess a way to kind of assess that is looking at commercial versus residential, and then maybe looking, I guess, maybe by neighborhood, kind of breaking it down to kind of see where that would take a hit. I don't know. Is that the way you kind of maybe forecast or look at it? All right. I don't even know if you really have to forecast in that manner.
No, we do. I mean,
Okay.
we have to know our numbers.
Right.
So we got to know, and I'm not like, I'm a on the fly kind of guy like you. I'm not an intellectual guy where I'm sitting behind a computer, crunching numbers. And I think that's just how I'm built.
Yeah.
At school, I never liked school. I love math. I do love math, but I never liked school. It's like, give me, I was at the highest levels of what you would call like a smart guy, but I was like, it bored me to death. So I'm like, let's get out, like let's get this thing over with.
Right.
And so it's probably ADD, who knows what it is, but so like I know my numbers in my head. Like I'll ask a question. Okay, well, where are we looking like this month so far? Where are we at? Where are our numbers at? Okay, where are we at last month, last year, the same time of year? What are we doing? 2 years ago, what are we doing? And so as long as those numbers keep going up, then we're in a good spot.
Right.
So I look at that. I look at, look at the economy. And right now the economy is starting to tighten their belt. But in the, we get political in the big scheme of things, it's always the rich get richer.
Facts.
It's always, and so as long as they have a product that is for that group of people, then you'll always be in business. I mean, the same thing with the AC guy. He's always in business.
Facts. You can't go without that.
Yeah. When they go out, you can't just say like, oh, no, I'm just not going to have AC today.
Right.
No, it don't work that way.
Especially not in Texas. Yeah. Y'all tripping. Y'all think
recession or no recession. Mm-hmm. Like there's certain things you have to have, same thing with the market in real estate right now. You have to have builders. There's no houses. You got to build them. So regardless of the rate could be 13%. You got to have somewhere to stay. And the market's going to change. It'll go from some people owning houses to people renting, but it's still going to be there.
Bro. Yeah. I mean, we're definitely seeing the changes in the market right now. And I think that's a good kind of transition because you are a real estate investor and kind of talking about that a little bit now. Are you solely focused on short term or do you do any like long-term rentals? What's kind of the plays there that you flips? What do you
I think I did my first flip in like 2007 or 8 and which it ended up really good, but it was a bad time to do it. And I didn't know, like hey, I saw a course, I loved it. But I've studied real estate since I was probably in my teenage years. Like,
oh damn.
It would just, I would go in the hood. I grew up in the hood. So I would look around at properties and I would say, okay, well, what's this cost? And then I would wait and watch somebody buy it, fix it. And then I look up and see what they sold it for. Like I used to have a notepad of addresses where I saw the price listed and then what month it was. And then when they sold it and what month. This is before I even knew anything about HAR. Now I can just, Google that stuff. But so as I got older, I long story short, I ran into a guy who was a real estate investor, right? And so he was at a property one time, and so I kept showing up, talking to him. This is before I ever touched the house. I actually did it, and he was like, "Man, you know all this." It was all book knowledge, right? Like you know all the terms, you know all this. He's like, but he's like, "You're not going to do anything about it," and it kind of pissed me off. I was like, "What do you mean I'm not going to do anything about it?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're all talk." He's like, "You're not actually going to make a move." And so, okay, all right, I got you. And then like literally the next 30 days, I closed on a house. And so I went in, I found out how to buy a house. You learn all those little tricks, that everybody knows now. But back then there wasn't nobody telling you about hard money. It was like 1-2 little groups in Houston,
Right.
And so you learn all that stuff. You flip a house. I made some money, and I did it a couple times after that. But then as you get, and then I started focusing on the company, but then the company started throwing off money that I had to get rid of. So the best vehicle is real estate.
Right.
And so this was like 2018, I think. And I said to myself, man, I'm gonna you got to follow some people that are in real estate.
Yeah.
And so I started, it's a funny story because I started like going on Instagram and I would just search hashtags like Houston real estate investor, new construction, new builds. And I don't know I'm not a who's who in Houston. So I don't know anybody, even though I've been here forever. Right.
Oh, you are now. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about now. But
So I, you know,
not then, but you made me now. You are now.
so I'm super low key, you know, got my little company. And so I saw somebody post something and it was a picture of a kitchen. The kitchen was dope. And it said, hey, this is you know, compliments of our boy Kevin. And so I clicked on Kevin and I was like, what was this Kevin guy? You know, like I'm following this fool. So, and then I saw his IG page and it said Kevin Shelton. And so I was like, this can't be that many Kevin Sheltons in the world, because I know a Kevin Shelton. Like the Kevin Shelton I knew, I was cool with his brother in high school.
Yep.
And the Kevin Shelton I knew was going, I think he went to New Orleans to school for a little bit. And he was like the little brother that we would bag on, like, yo, you're never gonna be nothing, bro. What are you doing going to school? You know? And so I inboxed him and started looking at his pictures. I was like, bro, this is Kevin. Like, yo. So I was like, yo, Kevin, what's up? And then so you know, so Kevin inspired me. I was like, dude, Kevin is a builder. Like he's a legit, you know, grown builder, like doing his thing out there. Mm-hmm. And so this is like 2018, 2019. He was actually just starting his moving and shaking to this level, to what he's doing now. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, man, I'm going to start just buying everything I can. Like, this is just what I need. Something just tells me to do it. I was like, this is what I got to do. So I just start buying stuff up. And so I bought a new house. And, you know, my wife had been wanting a house for a while. So I finally bought a new house. And then my plan was to just think about what I'm going to do in my old house. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm just going to leave it there and do some work to it here and there. And then I'll figure something out in the next 6 months. Yeah. Because it's busy time for me. I was like, hey, just leave it there. I don't care if it sits there, whatever, leave it. My wife was like, let's furnish it and put on Airbnb. And I was like, no, it's going to cost another 10 grand to furnish it. You know, like, dude, okay. I said, tell you what, how about let's do this? Time out. I'm already spent all this money on new furniture at the new house, right? Why don't we just leave some of our old furniture, make sure it looks good, and we'll put together some things on Airbnb, and you know, and then I'll put the 10 grand into the new house, you know. And so anyway, it's like all that same story. Like I took pictures with my cell phone and I listed it, and I went home and I sat on my couch, and then like ding, like you get a booking. And I was like, dude, is this working? You know? And then ding, 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 ding. And then so long story short,
make that 10 grand back in like a month.
Yeah. I went in there, we painted everything the way, you know, again, I bought all new Airbnb type of furniture that needs to be in there. You know, you just can't be anything.
Right.
And so like, man, it's a 6-figure passive income a year with the Airbnbs. And I was like, shoot, every property owner is gonna turn into an Airbnb. And so I did another one, and then I saw my next thing is I'm just gonna build a new house on a piece of property that I already own. I might put 2 houses on it and then Airbnb those out.
Smart.
So as I hold property, right? Because there's still holdings, right? There's still properties that you hold. I am playing the long game. I don't need the income from real estate to live, and so it's part of my, you know, my investments, and so. I'm going to hold them until I think that it's time for me to sell, or until I see a bigger deal. Like, and so the next thing for me to do is go buy an apartment complex or something, or partner with somebody, which is an aspect of real estate I don't know anything about. So anybody watching this, if you know a lot about apartment deals, holler at me.
Well, you know, my boy Brian is all into it. So yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
He was talking about that. So yeah, that's what he does. Well, he does mostly in syndication. But anyways, man, that's dope. You know, because like I said, I was in the Airbnb space for a little bit, and we were doing the arbitrage. But I took a course.
Oh yeah.
And it was like the course was an advocate for 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and particularly in like Houston and markets like that where business professionals could come in, and it was good, but the money that you would make wasn't worth the hassle. Yeah. And so I do see people who have like the homes, and you know their profit is up there. But I still hear about the shit like the parties and the horror stories that just come. It's just the nature of the business with Airbnb. And I'm just like, I don't have time for that shit to be showing up at somebody's house. Yeah. I mean, showing up my house at like, you know, 2:00 in the morning, trying to cool out a party and cool down the neighbors and shit like that. I'm just like,
yeah. And I tell everybody, look, it's not for everybody. You know, it's not. And again, there's good business and bad business. There's people who are gonna like it. To me, if I were to get into the realm of rental arbitrage, that is a tough game. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
Like you can't make a living on one. You really can't make a living on two or three. It's got to be at least 5 or 10 of them.
A big book of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're developing management skills, people skills, cleaners. You're a full-fledged business. And I tell my wife that's like the Airbnb game is a full-fledged business. Like it's pulling in 6 figures a year. Then we got to pay people. You got to pay people to manage. You got to pay cleaners, and then there's repairs. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Is there a better way to cash flow on a property right now? I don't know.
No, I mean, and that's what I was getting to. Sorry, not to cut you off. I didn't know.
No, go ahead.
But I completely agree. And that's what I was going to say is because in our rentals right now that we have, we don't Airbnb them. Now, we could, and again, I think we were kind of just traumatized from
the first.
Yeah, I mean, because we had like a couple that we did for that we used for arbitrage, but the properties, the homes that we actually own in our rental portfolio, none of them are being Airbnb, and that's something like maybe we take a look at. Like, I'm kind of thinking of like maybe buying some multi units and then doing that. But
let's do it together.
But I'm down. I'm down for real. Let's talk about that. But I will say, just to kind of getting back to your point, is you're probably going to make 3 to 4 times what you can on just a long-term renter with Airbnb. And so, if you do have that network and those systems in place, it could be very lucrative. And now as we think about it, like, damn, maybe as leases come up, we want to start. I do have, some things in South Houston and then other pockets. And that's why I want to talk to you about your footprint of your short-term rentals, because are they all interloop? Because it makes sense.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. Oh. So they're again, it goes back to business, right? So I put a better product on the market at a cheaper price than my competitor. It's like the dope game. I got a better price, like American Gangster, right? I put a better product on the market at a cheaper rate than my competitor. So I go look. There's tools. We all know, they're not hidden anymore, but you can go to AirDNA and look at tools and look at my competition. Would I stay here? Would I stay here? No. Would I stay there? No. Would I stay there? Oh yeah, I would. Because there's a certain level that, even so for me, I'm catering to somebody who is like me. I'm not catering to a 21-year-old who wants to come into Houston and party. Facts. And so, I put together a house that I would want to stay at that feels like a luxurious stay. And so then I price it accordingly. Right. So, the one of them is in Pearland. And it's a suburb, but it's by 288. You can get into town in 15 minutes. You can get to the Galleria in 15 to 20 minutes. It's 15 minutes from the airport. So it's in a good location. And that property last year in 2021, even this year so far, but this year's not over, but in 2021, there was not a weekend that it was not booked. It stayed booked up every weekend of the year. And even, of course, during the weekdays, those are the sweet spots, but it stayed booked up the entire time. And then I bought 2 houses over in Hitchcock, which is going towards Galveston.
Yep.
And there's nothing in Hitchcock, right? It's just, it's trailer park.
Hitchcock.
Yeah, it's Hitchcock. Yeah. And so I bought 2 houses there and I started rehabbing one. And that, again, you go back to I would be scared of rehab if I never done it before. Right. So I flipped a couple of houses. So I know what's involved there. So I took a house, I bought it dirt cheap from a family member who had to get rid of it. And so I rehabbed it. I got $100,000 into it, liquid. And the house appraised for $299. Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, I could sell it. I could hold it and rent it. But the rent, the going rent in that market was only like $1,700. That's top dollar. And so I was like, yeah, I could cash flow $1,700 a month on it. That's better. I can't park $100,000 anywhere else and make that much money. And then so I said, well, look, let's just do this. Let's furnish it. I'm gonna roll the dice. Let's furnish it and let's list it on Airbnb. And this time I was a little wiser from the first one. So now I got professional photos. I did certain things differently. I just made it the way, what it is. And that house outperforms the Pearland house.
Come on.
Yeah, it's bananas. It's like in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around it. I mean, it's 15 minutes from other items, but it's not like it's not in Galveston. It's not in Baybrook, you know, it's just in its little own spot, and it just outperforms. It's bananas. Like this little house, you know, it was a 311, a 312, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 car garage. I turned it into a 322, thanks to Kevin. Kevin said, do it, you know, so shout out to Kevin. But he was like, yo, you know, what's it going to cost to put the extra, you know, bathroom in there? I was like, I don't want to spend the 6-7 grand on it. He was like, no, do it, bro.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that house performs like bananas, man. And it doesn't miss, like it's literally in July, June and July, there's probably 3 days it's not booked. 3 whole days.
Okay. And let's hold on. And so when did you go live with that one?
That one went live like December 2021. So it's only been December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 6-7
okay
months.
I mean, still all right, because I'm just trying to see, like,
maybe November last year.
Okay.
What we had Thanksgiving guests in there.
I mean, what kind of guests are you getting in there? I mean, and like with a
it's
purpose?
Random, like I'll get a guy that's traveling to a plant for 2 weeks, and so the company's probably paying for it. I don't know. I get a family. So what it is I think it's a sweet spot, and again, I'm in the niche business, right? So and whether I planned it or not, because I didn't plan on buying these houses and put them on Airbnb, there's just a deal I had to buy. So there's 2 houses. There's two. They're you know, catty corner to each other, and one of them is in a baller lot. It's beautiful. I can't wait to build on it. If that house performs well, this house is gonna smoke it. So anyway, like if you're taking a family to Galveston Island for the weekend, and you're looking at beach houses, you're gonna spend $600-700 a night, you know, at a decent house.
Right.
15 to 2 grand on a baller house a night, right? And so, well, I say about 1,500 could be the highest I've seen, but typically it's going to range between $500 to $800 a night.
Right.
And so that may be out of the budget for a lot of people. And so you start to look at other options, like a $200 night stay in Galveston. Not so nice of a place. Like,
right.
It's just this weird vibe in Galveston, you know, around $200 a night. And so I think that what they're doing is they're expanding their search, and they say, hey, well, this is only 10 minutes away, or, you know, it literally from the front door to the bridge is about 12 minutes.
Okay.
So I think what they're saying is, hey, we can stay in this house. It's tight. Look at it. They go through the pictures, and then they book it because it's cheaper than being on the island. And so, hey, I'll take that little gray ground. But then you get
free game.
Yeah, I get people coming in that are going to cruises, and they're coming in 2 days early. You know, there's a whole family, all this luggage. You know, so they're like, I don't want to stay at a hotel. They book my Airbnb for $250 a night. So, you know, that is a gem.
Yeah, I'm about to go as soon as we get off here. I'm gonna go talk to my wife. Like, yo, what's up with these Hitchcock?
Yeah. So look, I'm like, I'm telling my wife, she's not a risk taker, and she now that she knows a little bit more about real estate and Airbnb, she's more like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, look, we have to take this 100 grand and we got to build a house right here. Like, you don't understand. Like, and she's like, no, let's just, you know, she wants to put $100,000 into our backyard to a pool. And I'm like, listen, this is going to pay for the pool. Like, trust me.
For real. For real.
You know, it just, so that's the next thing is like, I got to build. I'm just too busy to build. So I may hire somebody to build it for me and not worry about it. But like, I've got to put another house on this property. Like, I might put 2 of them on it because it's a big lot. And, you know, so city services, everything's there. It's the city of Hitchcock. And so now I'm looking like, man, y'all don't go looking for houses in Hitchcock. Because
we finna go look for houses in Hitchcock.
I'm buying them all. So like now I'm walking around with a sign and sell me your house, like your house. Like, I want them all on Airbnb if I could.
For real. No, that's I'm for real gonna look into that. And so quick question about your portfolio that you have. Are you utilizing any type of strategy for, I guess, more acquisitions and to expand? Like, are you utilizing anything like the burst strategy? Because I'm just hearing you talk about, you know, you've got significant equity in some of these properties. So are you doing anything like that? Or are you just letting it sit there?
So for right now, and remember, I'm not this genius investor, right? I just see something and I go for it. It makes money. Let's do it. Yep. But so and talking to other people who are way smarter than me, you know, like Kevin, like you, like listening to your other guy in the other podcast. If y'all listening to this, go back and watch. Was it Brian? Go back and watch Brian's. This dude's smart too.
Shout out Brian.
So I look at things and I say, okay, I'm going to set myself up for a bigger play later. right? So if a play came up and I had to whip out, you know, $500,000 to get into it, I got it sitting right there. It's basically in the bank. And so what I do personally, now everybody can't do this, and it's not, some people say it's not smart. Why would you ever do that, Josh? It's not smart. But I try to buy the properties outright. Like I want to just no note. I want to buy them. I want to own them. And so they're there for rainy days. Like I remember DJ Khaled had an interview. He's like, you know, you make all this money. He's like, buy property. He's like, put marble in it. You know, if you come to a hard time, take a piece of marble out and sell it. You know, and so that's what I always prepare for, the what ifs. Like, okay, worst case scenario, what if? Worst case scenario, hey, guess what? Worst case scenario, I can go put a work shirt on, and I can go create a living by actually being a worker in my own company. Like I can draw my own check just like you do, and make a hot good little amount of money.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I sell all. I try to buy everything. We're talking about buying cars. Like I try to buy my cars right. Worst case scenario, sell that car. Worst case scenario, I sell my classic car, you know, or my classic cars. Hey, I bought them right. I'm making money. You know, so same thing here. Worst case scenario, sell a house. You know, something happens. Hey, you know, God forbid, I get sick and I gotta have $100,000 cancer treatment, for sale. I'm finna pay for this thing right now. You know, I gotta live. But for investment purposes, when the right deal comes along, like, you know, Kevin keeps telling me, you got to get into multifamily. And so I want to skip that whole 4 or 5 unit thing. I want to go straight to like a 80, 100 unit complex. I just got to learn it. I don't know nothing about it. And so
that's a different beast, bro.
It's a whole different ball game. And so, you know, even some smaller, 30 units, 40 units, but I want to just skip right past the 3s and the 4s and the 6s. Like something like would probably whet my appetite would be like a 12 or 20 unit door building or something. But I don't know enough about it. So what I'm trying to position myself to do is, when it does come and I do know about it and I know what I'm doing, okay, now I can pull some money out of here and I put that down. And it's all my money anyway. So
right.
And at the same time, I always say, like, there's a zero, I make up a word for it. It's a zero sum. Like I don't have to make any money in Airbnb to live. So when the people say the market's flooding, like there's just so many people Airbnb, what are you gonna do? Well, I just lower my price, because I don't have a note on the house, right? So I can go lower. I can beat you out. I can stay in here longer because you got to pay rent. I don't. And so you have to make a certain dollar until you lose. I don't. So when it comes to like that, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to say is, well, I'll just pull this money out of these houses and then get into the apartment game, and it's free money anyway because Airbnb is paying for it.
Got you.
I'm not paying for it. So
right.
That's what, like, and I tell all my friends, yo, buy everything you can get your hands on. If it takes 10% down, save the 10%, go buy $100,000 house. If go buy a $200,000 house, go buy a $300,000 house, because in this world, Texas is only going up. We're not going to have, first of all, we're not going to see the recession like the rest of the country is.
Right.
Like Midwest, we're an oil town. As long as oil prices are up, there's money flowing here. People are flocking here. So, you know, the real estate guys, they're worried. Rates are going up. You know, I'm sure your wife's looking at the rates and worrying about deals not going through. It doesn't matter. They're going to buy it. They have to.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we've kind of seen that, but nah, I mean, the market is still hot right now, bro. All right. So now we're back, man. A few things, Josh, I want to ask you, man. Your intellectual curiosity at a very, very young age. You were saying like 7 or 8 years old, you're walking around, asking your parents about different prices and what things cost. And then as you got into your interest peaked in real estate, you're walking around with a notepad. Where does that come from? Because that's not a normal thing for people to have, bro. So where did you think you got that from?
I get people ask it all the time, like, because people on a slide, they want to know, you know, like, can they ask you questions, like, can they come and say, you know, or run ideas by you? And a lot of times I think that it's just innate. Like, in other words, you have it in you or you don't. Now, there is a flip to that, because you have it in you at a young age, right? So, you know, whether it's a blessing or a curse, that's in me. Like, it's in me to look at anything and analyze it to see, okay, how does he make money, and does it work, and can I do it, or can I set some up to do it? I look at something and I say, okay, well, how do you make money doing it? And I want to know how things work. Like, I want to know who pays for this big skyscraper? Like, where does the funds come to, to build that building? And so you have to ask questions to know those things, and you got to know the right people. And so when you go to school, you learn some of those things, and your eyes get opened up, especially if you're from the hood. Like, you see some things. You get to rub shoulders with people who go to school, whose parents are the ones building that building, right? And so you get to ask those questions. And so if it's in you early, awesome. Sometimes it's there, but you don't know it's there, and you won't uncover it until later on. Like you might be 27, messed around and had a kid, and or even let's say 21, you got a kid and you're working a job, and it's just something that's not cutting the cheese, and you want to figure out what it is. And then it comes into you then. Like, sometimes it gets into people in their 50s. Like, they just quit their job. I'm tired of working for corporate America. I'm gonna do my own thing. And so if it's probably in everybody, it's just a matter of what triggers it. And fortunately or unfortunately, because I don't know if it's good or bad, but it was in me early. And so I run with it the entire time. I don't know anyway. Like, I feel like if you would have put me down in a box, like a cubicle, and say, hey, I'm going to give you $500,000 a year. You just got to stay in front of the computer and enter these numbers. I'm out. I'm not doing it. I can't, so it's just there's nothing wrong with bean counters, because that's what they do. And there's a need for them, because if you're an entrepreneur and you grow a business big enough, then you need those bean counters.
Right.
And then you say, okay, well, here's your salary. I'm going to pay you $150,000 a year to make sure this money's straight. And so there's a need for all those people. There's a need for people who are CPAs, accountants, all sorts of professions. So it can be in you, or you can find it later. That's the point.
Yeah, no. And going back to one of our first conversations, we're just talking about that. It being in you or not. And I'm one of those people that you talked about kind of later on. It was just like, I unfortunately spent the money on an MBA and all that kind of shit just to all that shit just to hit me like one day. Actually, 3 years to this month, it just kind of hit me. It was like, yo, this shit ain't it. This is not what I want to do. And I was really just, going back to listening to your story, bro. And it's just like, it was really impressive. Really, that's all I'm trying to say. It's just really impressive how things clicked, in your head, hell of a lot earlier. I was like, damn.
But it's really the same. Like, so the example is, I worked at a company. I wasn't making a bunch of money, and I was learning while I was working. And that's in a book. That's actually, I forget who says that, but it's in a book somewhere. I read that somewhere. Work to learn to work. I think it's Kiyosaki. And so you learn, and the hard knocks and the stuff, like the entrepreneur ideas, they're there, right? They were laying dormant in you too. And so the failures until you get to the point of success, those are all costly. They cost you money, they cost you time. And so the same thing, you take learning lessons from them, and until you build yourself up to where, like, okay, now I can do this. The same thing with school. The hard knocks are you paid somebody and they taught you something, and you learn stuff, and you learn a lot of things along the way. So you have an advantage. And so, like, you're like, okay, when you start your business and you know all these things because you were taught it at school, and in the field you're in, you learn lessons too. So, so all that accumulates to a successful business person that I'm looking at on the computer screen. So it's the same thing. It's just different roads. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's different roads, but we're all flowing. As long as you're flowing to that success, no matter what road you take, you're going to get there, as long as you're determined to get there.
No, for sure. So we've talked about Texan Mosquito Systems. We've talked about the Airbnb business, your interest in doing large commercial type deals. And then you've mentioned the cars. I mean, what else are you involved in, man? Like, I mean, what's the other investments you got going on right now? Is that really your core, or anything else?
I just bought a horse
and some cows.
Well, the cows are for food. So, so again, I got introduced to a guy that was that's one of our customers, and he's this big time horse breeder. And he's got these horses that everybody wants, and that's in that realm.
Yeah.
And so I was, asking questions. I was like, well, how much does it cost to buy a horse now? What's it worth in 2 years? And when it has a baby, what's the baby worth? And of course, there's a passion for animals there too. Like I spent some years breeding white-tailed deer, and so like I do enjoy that. And so the guy was like, look, man, I'm gonna get you in this game. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so
I mean,
a couple days ago, a horse was born. It's mine.
I mean, okay. So what kind of horse is this? Is this like, are we going to the Kentucky Derby? Are we out here?
It's just a show horse. I mean, it's called the breed is called a Friesian. And so those horses, they typically range, over 40 grand a horse.
You talking a different type of talk right now. Horse game. Come on, bro.
So I mean, there's horses out there that are worth $1 million. Like,
I believe it.
Legit $1 million horse. So you can breed and get your program to where you got couple $100,000 horses sitting there, a horse. Yeah. And those horses also they also cash flow. Like dude, you can have a stallion that's cash flowing you money all day long because people are paying you to breed with your horse.
Got you.
So, okay. You have an investment that's bringing you a return every month. And imagine if we had, I'm just now learning and just starting, but like, imagine in 10 years when I got, 20 horses out there and they're all cash flowing money. Sheesh. So, but then what it does is it pays for the ranch. So now you're sitting on a $2-3 million ranch that the animals are paying for. And so, it's the same thing. That old saying, the rich get richer. You're just finding ways to essentially hide your money from Uncle Sam.
Right. And, have your money
legally hide your money from Uncle Sam.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, and have your money make money for you. I mean, that's kind of been, a reoccurring theme with everyone we're talking, I've been speaking with is really learning how to have your money make money for you, man. Shout out to that. Now, switching gears, man, because I mean, so we've talked a little bit about the business, but another thing that is very noticeable to me is how much of an importance it is to you to be a great father and your family to you, man. And talk about that a little bit, like I guess
so my son is probably like, I think you said it is like, or your last show is like, you don't understand like how much you love your child. Like you literally, that's the hardest thing you've ever loved before in your life,
bro.
And so, again, I go back to measure, I see things that I don't like and I don't want to be like, and I don't want to do. So I had my stepfather raised me, right? Great man, wonderful man. He's still alive. I call him dad, but I also saw what my biological father didn't do. And so when I see those things, then there's always a disconnect. Even you can have a really good biological father and you can have a really good stepfather. But he's not, you don't come from him. And so there is this, it's because
it's
not the same.
Right.
In a loving way. Like I always joke with my stepdad, and I call him dad because I don't know another dad. Like he can say, hey, we're going left. And my first intuition is, nah, we're going right. Like this just is what it is. Like, nah, let's do it this way. Nah, let's do it this way. And so I look at my son and so I see things that he does that he instinctively does without me telling him what to do. And it's what I would do. Like, that's what I would do. And he does it. So I'm like, man, it's crazy because it's looking at a copy of you. So the next thing is like, how do I make that version better than I went through? Yeah. And so we are it's a generational advancement. He has things that I didn't have. And so it's my job to make sure that he's exposed to all these things that I was never exposed to that early. I was exposed to a lot of things later in life. Like in my 20s, I saw the world. I saw what wealth looked like. And so I'm going to show him these things super early. Like, so his conversations are even different at 7 years old. Bro. He's talking to other 7-year-olds about, and this is what, this is where we went on vacation and this is what we did and blah, blah, blah. And so I tell my wife and I tell my son, we don't have a regular lifestyle. Okay.
Right.
So you don't get up every day and you don't go to school every day. You're on virtual school. You have options. Like we can be in school and be in, out of town. That's just what it is. But, so I'm very big on that. Like I never want to leave him in any kind of way. My worst fear ever in life is leaving him like when it's out of my control, like something happens to me, right?
Yeah.
And so like imagine, you got this moldable child who has all the talent because he's smart as a whip. Like there's nothing dumb about this kid. And so I got this golden egg that I got to mold. And imagine if something happens to me, he's 12 or 10, and I'm not there to see it through. So that was my biggest fear as a man.
Same here.
Like, I gotta
Same
see,
here, bro.
I gotta see it through. Like I got to get you to the levels where you need to be at. And so like sometimes I want to write like a book to him, or like some sort of memoir, and log it. Like if something happens to me, read this, watch this.
Yes. Yeah. And bro, I'm the same thoughts go through my head. And that's one of the things that I wake up every morning, and I try to wake up with the sense of gratitude. The first thing I do is, just pray and thankful for everything in my, in my life, and like including the health, including being here, including being able to wake up and see another day. And I think about that as well, as a man trying to raise another man and show him the way. It's I'm damn, like, should I just try to write a book or something, and log it? What me and my wife do for both of our kids right now is, it's not necessarily, writing to like, hey, when you get to this age, it's what you do. But we definitely do. What we do right now is certain milestones and certain things in their life, or sometimes how I'm feeling. I set up an email for both of my kids, and I just email them stuff, and I'll email them like, hey, this today. And then but they don't have access to it, of course. My kid is like 5, and the other one's 3. Other one's 3. But when they turn 18, it's going to, hey, here's your email address. You're going to go through 18 years.
That's pretty cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that we got. But I definitely think about that. I'm sorry, I didn't want to. That just really struck a chord with me, because those same thoughts go through my head.
Yep.
But then also,
we don't voice them. Really don't say it to anybody. Like that's what's my worst fear. My worst fear is not me to see it through. Like not being there for him to see certain things, because as he becomes a teenager and goes through those years, like, do I go to college? Do I not? And so like you got to give him your advice. Like, you went to college. You might tell your son, no, it was a big waste of time and money. I might tell him different. Like I might say, hey, if you want to be an engineer, you want to, like, we have a cousin that builds bridges, right? She's an engineer. You got to go to school for that. If that's your passion, if that's what you want to do, cool, man. Like, hey, we're going to make you the best engineer the world ever saw, but you're going to have to, you got to know the way.
Right. But Josh, hold on. I mean, but what if he's at 18, he's like, damn, I don't know what I want to do yet.
That's cool too.
And so, I mean,
that's cool too.
So what is he doing? Like, is he like, hey, Dad, I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I'm not sure if I want to, step into the, be the successor of Texan Mosquito Systems yet. I'm not sure about college. What are you telling him?
So what I would say is, and that's a good question. I didn't get a chance to think about that, but I would say, find out, like, in other words, this is the time of life when we get you to exposure to anything and everything you want. So you may not know what you want to do, but what you're not going to do is you're not going to sit there and do nothing. Right. So you're not going to sit and wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and play video games. You're not going to do that. Not in this house. And so you hopefully that's part of the routine the whole way. So it's never going to be that way, and you nip it in the bud as it comes at a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old. You nip that in the bud early. Right. But an 18-year-old kid who's played video games all day, he played video games all day when he was 12. You know what I mean? So this didn't happen overnight. So hopefully, what I say all that to say is, hopefully when he's at that age, he has already seen and heard and done a lot of things already. And so if he doesn't have a clear plan, we just keep showing him stuff. And this is what you want to do. Pick a guy that you want your lifestyle to be like him. You might not want to live like your dad. You might want to be, hey, I don't want none of them headaches at that company. I just want to be, and sometimes people don't require a lot. I know some people that, man, they live on this much money and they are happy as crap. And so he may want to do that. Cool. But find somebody whose life you want your life to be like, and then do the things that it took for them to get there. That's the only thing I'll tell them.
Free game.
Find somebody you want to be like and do what it takes to get there. You want to be a ball player? Do what it takes to get there. You want to play football? Do what it takes to get there. You want to be a professional golfer? Do what it takes to get there. So Like I don't spend a lot of time like watching sports. I don't spend a lot of time, like I laugh as people like, man, LeBron James had 27 points and 5 rebounds. I don't give a crap how many. I don't want to care what his stats are, right?
Right.
Like I'm a fan of sports. I'm a fan of college football and regular football, but I don't sit there and I don't want to know who the next recruit is. I don't want to know who the 5-star guy is because I'm not that in tune with it. I
Right.
want to know what our stats are as a family. Like, what are we doing? And
Right.
so I would tell him the same thing. I tell any kid that who might be watching this or anybody who's just trying to, they could be a grown person and they don't have a real clear direction yet. Find somebody that you want your life to be like, and then go follow their stats.
That's a very good piece of advice. And then the only thing I'd add to that is, be patient, just because we're in a microwave society. Is like,
Yeah.
they're like, man, I see Josh. Damn, he's talking all this and these different ventures, blah, 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 blah. Like, I want to do that. And then, may get some momentum. Like, because again, you got to be patient with yourself to get the momentum.
Yeah.
And then within 2 years, be like, God damn, I'm still not where Josh is yet.
Mhm.
Well, Josh put in,
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
years, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
I made a post
understand and
about
give your,
that.
yeah.
I made a post about that a couple, 4 or 5 days ago. I
Okay.
said, y'all see the shine. And so what it was, I was like, years and years of hard work and hustle equal shine. Like,
Talk about
this
it.
didn't happen yesterday. I didn't buy I love my little old school Camaro, right? I
Yeah.
didn't buy that car like, early on. It took me years to be able to drop the money to buy that car. And you
Mm-hmm.
just can't walk up to a dealership and finance an old school car. So it's like you gotta buy, you gotta have the liquid cash to buy it. And so
Right.
you don't just, it don't just happen, like that
Right.
stuff don't just show up out of clear blue sky. So you got to put the work in to do it.
Right. Right. And yeah, it's just being patient with yourself, giving yourself grace wherever you're at in your journey. And
Mhm.
yeah, you definitely can take something from other people, but just understand, like, your journey is going to be unique to you, like it was to that person you're looking at. So just kind of being patient there. And
And keeping
yeah,
good friends, like y'all.
bro,
Like
keeping
man,
good.
I
That's
watch
very important.
everybody. Like I unfollow anybody who's not moving and shaking. It's
Yeah.
like I don't want to even see you on my timeline,
Yeah.
and I want to see the people. Kevin always says it on his IG. It's not bragging when you're in the circle of friends that are all making moves, right?
Right.
So like I'm watching Kevin like build all these houses. Like, man, like this is dope. Like, keep. I wish I could build houses like he does.
Right.
And so like those things motivate you. Like stay in tune, but don't ever think that like you can't ever have that wicked eye. Like don't you can't hate on them. Like
Hell nah.
applause
Nah.
them. Like let them keep going. Let them keep making moves because essentially if that's what you want to do, like if I want to do what you do and you're successful at it, then my next move is to follow you. Like
Right.
the funny thing is we have access to you on Instagram. You have access to everybody on Instagram, really.
Everyone. Anyone you
And
want to hit up. Yeah.
yeah, and so even if you hit them up in a DM, yo, I see you're doing XYZ, people that own other service companies that are not in my business, I
Mm.
tell them like this is what you got to do to, you want to get found on Google. You own an air conditioning company or electrical company.
Yeah.
What's the name of your company? Let me see if I can find you.
I seen you talking that shit about PPC the other day. Well, not even PPC, or just search engine
Yeah,
optimization.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Let me
SEO.
see if I can find you. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Google me. Like go Google mosquito systems. I guarantee you, I'm on the top page always, right?
Right.
And it's not just IG. Like go put the hashtag in. I'm gonna be on IG. You're gonna see it. So
Right.
you have to learn how to get in front of your customer. Like I don't want to get all up into the business part, but like that, all like it goes all to say that if you see somebody doing something right and it's working, just follow them. So you're
Right.
not reinventing the wheel.
Right. And then even talking about that, like, because sometimes I don't know about you, but me, I will have, just to be completely transparent, like, man, I'll see somebody, doing something within the acquisitions or wholesaling space, and like, man, like damn, like I want to be there, and I'll have that feeling, but
Mm-hmm. I'm not
um
doing enough.
yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, still sometimes I have to, flip that in my mind, is like, think about it, take a step back and like, no, you want people to win. Like you actually want that. And then keeping that mindset of abundance, and like, just keeping like, especially about the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I love to see everybody win. I want to be around people who are winning. I don't want to be around motherfuckers like with their face down, like, oh, like I'm not winning. I want people to talk that shit. I like to see you pulling out those cards. I like to see Kevin talking that talk and, you know, calling me about, you know, different vacations and let's, you know, get the families together. Mm-hmm. I want to be, that's the kind of shit you want to be around. You don't want to be around a mindset of lack. So
it pushes you to the next level. Like, and I'll tell you, if these guys are closing more deals, find out what they're doing, you know.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
yo, how'd you get that deal, or where'd it come from, or what form of advertising are you using?
Yep.
And shoot, just remember what I said earlier. Look at your competition and then put a better product to market, and you'll always win. You'll always win.
And what I'm learning right now, my businessman is 3 years in, walked away from you know, a corporate American job. You know, the first year it was like, you know, shit, what I did I make the right decision? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, had some stuff saved up and everything. And then towards the end, like things didn't really click, you know, and I was like, damn, should I maybe just go back? Mm-hmm. And my wife and, you know, my family was like, no, just stick with it, be patient, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Second year, same thing kind of happened. In the second half of that year, bro, is where shit just popped. And then this year, it's even popped more. And so I said all that to say, so I'm slowly like being able to, you know, take that step back, take that 30,000 foot view. And now what I'm working on right now, I'm getting to the point, is systems.
Yeah.
And bro, systems.
Yep. Automated, like not automated, like, but in other words, you know, put it to where it's working by itself and you're just monitoring it.
Man, and that right there not only gives you a peace of mind, it increases your deal flow, and then also too, bringing on people, because I'm starting to get out of, because you know, up in the roughly like 3 years now, I've kind of been essentially a one-man show with VAs, but I'm bringing in people now, and like, so I'm able to sit here and do a podcast and still closing deals. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so
that's good.
Yeah. So I said all that to say is like, man, systems like is very, very important to anyone. Josh talked about it earlier. And I'm bringing it up now, is like, yo, if to kind of help yourself with fatigue and whatnot and being burnt out, just look at your systems and look where things that you're doing repetitively kind of step out and, you know, and, you know, see where you can maybe put somebody in or automate it somehow. Like what I did is I took a whole damn, you know, weekend and just literally, you know, spent the time, you know, told my wife, hey, I'm automating my CRM, spent the time and automated the shit out of that. You know, I just YouTube clicked it, searched it on YouTube. Oh, he gives the game away for free.
It's
click,
all on
stop.
YouTube.
So
all the game is on YouTube,
bro. There's so much game, much game on YouTube. But nah, man, Josh, dude, you've given away so much game today, man, and I've kind of just been all over the place. But is there anything like that? I mean, you kind of wanted to get into or talk about that we haven't touched on yet, bro? I mean, because we've been all over the place. From like family to
No, you know, like no, I think that we touched on pretty much all of it. I think that you know, we're in some different times where we're unprecedented things are happening that we've even you know, older people haven't seen. We're not in the category of people who come from, you know, high wealth,
right?
And so we're navigating it, and I think we're, you know, the group of people that we associate with typically and then we know are doing pretty well with that. There are unfortunately people that are not, and if they're not, then I think that, you know, they should start to learn and look at what other people are doing versus look at them with a different eye or a side eye. And so the economy is definitely unstable. You know, the real estate market in our area is booming, and it looks like it's going to stay that way. I'm sure that, you know, there's going to be peaks and valleys, but the real estate market in another part of the country may be crap right now. And so there's a market in anything. You can do anything in this world because there's all the information is on YouTube. I said to another guy, I said, you know, the really good athletes, the ones that win, like the Tom Brady's, the super elite people, they're watching film all the time, and they're studying their opponent. They're studying their own craft. They're perfecting their craft. And so the film to us entrepreneurs is on YouTube and on podcasts like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so watch your film. So I watch the film all the time. I watch all your shows. I watch anybody who I know is doing something and they're putting anything out like this. I watch it because I might pick up a little gem that just, took me to the next thing. There might be a guy to reach out to me about a super dope deal on an apartment complex that I just got to be in, and
Right.
and so I say out to say that take information and then apply it, use it. Don't just sit on it, because people will learn it and they'll sit on it. I went to a couple of conferences, and there's some good conferences out there, but for the most part, it's just a bunch of rah. Like motivate you to do something, to become an entrepreneur. And that's their job. That's what they do. They're not bad people on stage. They're great people. I've met a lot of them, and they're great people. They're really doing it. And but you got an audience full of thousands of people that want it. And it's like church, like they're doing it, but then when you leave church, what are you doing?
Exactly.
So you gotta want it, you gotta apply it, you gotta put the work in. Like you actually just gotta go do the work. If you do the work, everything else that you're looking for comes with that, bro. It comes with that. So the talk that we're talking about here, like if you were any kind of a self-conscious person, and you got around some of our boys and listen to them talk, you'll be like, oh man, these guys are arrogant. No, we're just talking our life. Like we're talking what we typically deal with. Let Kevin talk about some stuff, and you'd be like, whoa, like, dude, he's dealing with like high-end type of deals, high-end people. And that's what you learn. Like you learn all these things. It's all part of the flow. So I tell you, right, man, don't be a hater. Just join in it. Like just jump in it 2 feet. Anybody, I'm not the smartest dude in the world at all, and so anybody can do it. It just matter, do you want it or not?
Well said, bro. Yeah, do you want it or not? And like you're saying, surround yourself with good people, and and look at it from a lens of that person, just because they're doing well is not a threat to you, but maybe that's something you can add value, and they can add value to you. So yeah, definitely from that mindset of abundance, man. That's so true, man. And like, again, when I first met you, bro, because I heard so many great things, and then just to meet you, and you were, very, personable, and be able to share a game and things of that nature. Like I said, I left that, that golf course, talking to you guys, like, damn, that shit is inspiring, and just hearing about what everybody was doing. So shout out to you there.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Oh, for sure, bro, for sure. And so, no, man, I like to end, all of these conversations with, when it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember Josh for?
When it's all said and done, and that means I'll be old, right?
Yeah.
So when it's all said and done, essentially, the only people that matter are the people that went along for you on the ride, And so I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what anybody thinks they know me thinks. So I try to provide value to everyone who's close to me. If somebody is close to me and they're a friend, and they don't want to be in their job, and they want to ask a question because it seems like, oh, you got everything together. I'm figuring it out, but I can help you get away from what you want by just giving you some advice. So at the end of the day, I think that as long as and it's not about a number, we all do have our number, and we hit that number, great, cool. But it's basically this guy has went along, came from nothing, right? So like literally his parents didn't put him on to get, like, you can't say, well, it's because his parents, they bought that first property for him. No. So I got it the whole way through the hustle, like through the grind, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a smart guy. I didn't go to college 10 years. So essentially what I want people to say is he got what he got because that's what he wanted, right? But along the way, he helped other people along the way. He employed people, he made them provide a living for their families. And then anybody who was his friend, they benefited from being his friend. It's like everybody has access to you. And so there's people who are my friends who they're not rich. They're not wealthy. They don't have companies, but they're my friends. Like they're literally my friends. Like, yo, if you lost your job, and I did this to a friend of mine who's a really good friend, you lost your job, right? Because things were getting bad in 2020, all this other stuff. Well, cool. Come work for me until you find a new job. I'm not telling you to come be in my company forever, but cool. I can pay you so your family can stay afloat until you find your next gig, until you find your next job. And those are things that friends just don't do if they're not really your friends. And so it's not about dollars, because it technically I would give you a check if you didn't work for me, if you needed it. And those are things I want people to remember me by. Like, hey man, he would give you the shirt off his back, even though he's got 10 shirts, he would give you one of them. And so, and so that's the things that I want, like I want my son to be proud of his dad. Like, man, every dad wants their son to be proud of them, but
absolutely,
unfortunately, there are situations where people are like, my dad ain't this, my dad, the saying, my old man ain't do nothing for me. And that's not what I want him to say. I want him to say, man, my dad really put me in a position to win. And hopefully, if I get the chance to live to be an old man, then I'll get to see that happen.
Dope. Yeah, no, for sure. And, definitely, prayers up and know that's going to happen. So, you know what, bro, you know what else? I appreciate you. And when you talk to people, it's a lot of people, shop talk or whatever. And you're like, all right, cool. But bro, when we left that conversation, the first time I met you, the thing you said to me, man, we were walking out to the parking lot, you're like, James, man, good meeting you. Said, if you ever need anything, hit me up. I appreciate that. Just that gesture. Cause that was a genuine, it felt genuine. Like I didn't know you that well, but at the time, like, yo, that was a genuine. I was like, man, that's what's up. I appreciated that, man. And so, man, super dope, man. Yeah. So, on a few things. So if anyone has questions about business, wants to get in touch with you, has questions, how can we reach you? Like socials, what's your, and I'll have everything down here as well. So
I think the best way is just hit me on Instagram.
Okay.
So slide in the DMs.
Yeah. And what's the?
I use that term loosely. Do not slide in my DMs. I'm happily married. But no, if there's a question, like a legit question, just ask it.
Right.
If I don't want to answer it, then I'll just say I don't want to answer it. But if it's a question, I'm going to answer it.
Right. And where can we find you on socials?
My IG handle is Josh, the letter N, Texas. So
okay.
Just Josh in Texas. That's usually where you can find me on everything.
Bet. Okay. And then how do we get a hold if we're looking for Texan Mosquito Systems? If we're interested in that, how can we reach you?
You call the office. Yeah, you call the office. That number is 713-344-1984.
Okay. One more time.
Say that again.
Say it one more time.
713-344-1984.
Bet.
And so if you want a mosquito system or have questions about one, just call the office and they'll take care of the rest.
Dope.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Bro, I appreciate you doing this, man. This has been a really good episode, bro. You dropped a lot of game and I hope people caught on to it. And yeah, man, it's really exciting when we get people like you on here and, very candid, very authentic and just giving free game, man. So I definitely appreciate you. So yeah, this has been another episode of Masterminds. I hope you guys tune in weekly on Thursdays and check out our new episodes. And you guys can find us on Apple, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, all those good things. So this has been another episode and we're out. Peace.
Appreciate you.